Please be seated. Well, my friends, today is Religious Life Sunday. But for the blessed presence of Sister Tina Francesca in our community, I suspect that few of you would have an awareness that the Episcopal Church, like other Anglican churches, such as the Church of England and the Anglican Church of Canada, have monks, nuns, sisters, brothers, and friars living in communities and monasteries, as well as living as solitaries like Sister Tina Francesca. I have a striking recollection of when I first realized this. It was actually the first Sunday I ever stepped into an Episcopal church. Sue was raised attending the Roman Catholic Church, and I had moved back and forth between Methodist and Lutheran churches. We were recently married, had moved to Sacramento, and thought an Episcopal church may be a comfortable place for the two of us. So we walked into Trinity Cathedral, and with its beautiful liturgy, and of all things, a nun was sitting in one of the front pews. I remember thinking, what is she doing here? Well, she was Sister Alice of the Sisters of the Transfiguration, an Episcopal order of nuns whose ministry in large part is the education of young women in Cincinnati, Ohio. They also had a chapter house in Eureka, California. Years later, Father Dennis Odekirk, who some of you will recall, became our rector here at St. Michael's. And he was from one of the more Anglo-Catholic areas of the Episcopal Church, Wisconsin, jokingly referred to as the Beretta Belt of the church, referring to the four-cornered hats that some Episcopal and other priests wear. He was also an affiliate of the Order of Holy Cross, the first monastic order of monks in the Episcopal Church, with monasteries in New York, Berkeley, and Santa Barbara. He encouraged me to affiliate, and I came very close to doing so. But instead, I chose to become an associate of the Order of Julian of Norwich. And I have remained so for well over 20 years. Yet, interestingly, while in seminary in Berkeley, a Holy Cross brother, Brother Tom Schultz, was my spiritual advisor at seminary. So for many years and many ways, I have been blessed by members of these orders and communities. Now, Sue and I often watch a wonderful PBS program entitled Call the Midwife, right? Which focuses on London midwives in the first part of the 20th century. They practice out of a religious house of Church of England nuns, who are midwives along with some lay nurses. For those of you who have watched the show, I suspect that you, like most, jumped to the conclusion that the nuns were Roman Catholic. Not so, right? Episcopal and other Anglican nuns, monks, sisters, brothers, and friars, unfortunately, are somewhat of a secret, right? Few of us are fully aware of them, their ministries, and the opportunities that they present for a religious vocation. But this Sunday, which is new, is trying to change that. Now, when you think of how animals and plants differ in their response to danger or threat, you see that animals have developed strategies and tools to sidestep or run away from threats, while plants, like trees, hunker down, grow roots along with protective armor, and face danger by refusing to move. Now, we human beings, being animals, tend to favor the animal strategy. But, the older I get, the more I am drawn to the strategy of plants, especially trees. It is a strategy and way of living in the world that I believe religious orders and communities practice, model, and promote. They are more like trees, rooted and growing protective armor. In our present American culture, any perceived limitation on our conduct, even if clearly in the best interest of others, is subject to criticism these days. This point of view runs counter to the choices those in or affiliated with religious orders make to conform their lives by following religious practices, routines, and standards. Now, people jump to the conclusion that they have given up their freedom, but philosophers and theologians have argued for centuries that uninhibited focus on oneself is anything but true freedom. Aristotle conceived true freedom as a life constructed out of good habits that, when cultivated, incline a person to do the right thing as a matter of developed character. This is what nuns, monks, sisters, brothers, and friars model and do. They freely cultivate and practice good habits that form them in such a way that their lives instinctively are marked by compassion and the love of others. True freedom, under this description, is acting in attunement with one's character and conscience. Ways of being and a living that are constructed slowly, deliberately, and in accord with a higher purpose. People like Tina and other religious are a lot like trees in this regard. The painter Henri Matisse said that what is essential in life is to put oneself in a frame of mind which is close to that of prayer, not in the sense of the content of any particular belief, but in the sense of an orientation, an attitude towards something bigger and better, God, who Anne Lamott helpfully defines for us as not me. Religious orders and communities help us do this. They model, they instruct, and they set a standard for us. Their nuns, monks, sisters, brothers, and friars remind us what, as followers of Jesus, our purpose and role in this world is. To be God's continuing agency, his hands, his feet. Benedictine nun Joan Chittister captured this beautifully when she wrote that having made the world, having given it everything it needs to continue, having brought it to the point of abundance and possibility and dynamism, God left it for us to finish. God left it to us to be the mercy and the justice, the charity and the care, the righteousness and the commitment, all that it will take for people to bring the goodness of God to outweigh the rest. So, like Sister Tina Francesca and her fellow religious and their affiliates, grow deep roots, fed by prayer and religious practice, like a tree. Amen.